Hello and welcome back to the Nutrition Digest podcast. We are your hosts and registered dietitians. I'm Tara Valenti.
I'm Alicia Kugler.
And I'm Summer Merrick.
We are here once again to dish up the nutrition tea, to debunk the myths, to inspire, to inform, and hopefully entertain. Today, we are following up on one of your favorite conversations, the conversation all about mindset. We did a podcast about mindset a while back, actually, and it was one of our most, if not our very, very most popular podcast out of them all. Everybody seemed to really like that one and find it helpful. Today, we're talking about that again, but with more of a seasonal twist, because we are deep, deep in December right now, and mindset can be really key during the holiday season. The holidays, they can be joyful, they can be cozy, but they can also bring up a lot of anxiety, especially in terms of food, eating, the whole process of all of that. Sometimes there's guilt around indulgences, and there's also sometimes pressure to feel like you have to start all over again in January and just kind of like throw in the towel for all of December. And we want to avoid doing that. So we are going to talk about all about that and going to give you some mindset tools for helping you to feel a little more calm, a little more empowered, and just more present this season rather than wrapped up in like the guilt, the anxiety, feeling powerless, feeling out of control.
That's a present that we don't want. We don't want to have that guilt wrapped up and
No, we definitely don't want to open up a box full of guilt this holiday season.
Exactly.
So with that said, I think this is a topic that we can all relate to. I think we all experience the holidays in different ways and different feelings in different ways and struggle with different things. So let's dive in and talk a little bit about that holiday trap.
Yeah. And I think the big thing that we're kind of making this episode is we are noticing that a lot of clients that we have are struggling. We're noticing that shift. I know when I was at the gym this week, it was very quiet. I was like, wow, this is shocking. So we're kind of noticing that happen. And I think all of us have been through that. And we're all like, hey, we want to help you so that you're not starting fresh in January. Because we're going to have a whole episode about like New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions don't really work very well. So let's try to keep on top of it into December. The main holiday trap that we really see for, I think a lot of people right now is it's a lot of things. So it's like, there's a lot going on. We have something in our calendar all the time. We're feeling pressure to cook. We're feeling pressure to have our houses look immaculate. We're decorating. We're wrapping presents. We have social gatherings, dinners. Everything is popping up. Everyone wants to catch up. I know that I am like very overwhelmed. I'm heading home in a week and everyone's like, oh my God, Alicia, I need to see you. And I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, oh, when am I going to have time for myself and working out and everything? And I think there's also this pressure too, or like the mindset that a lot of us can fall into. This only comes once a year. Christmas and holidays, it's only once a year. And so it's easy to kind of, when we're in that, is be like, hey, I don't have the capacity, or hey, I don't feel like I can actually be on top of my nutrition or train normally. I'll just get back to it in January.
It could also be, I don't want to.
Yeah,
because it only
true.
comes once a year. This is the time to celebrate, right? Like it only is once a year, but then come January, we're, seeing way bigger shifts on the scale, or seeing that we're not feeling as well or something like that. So it can be kind of a positive, not just that we can't do all these things, but we want to indulge.
Yeah,
and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
And then I think for a lot of people too, is like the mindset is they've been working so hard all year round. And especially I know for a lot of people, there's a lot of work pressure into November, and they're like, oh my gosh, now I have this downtime, this time off work. And they're like, I just want to just chill out. And I think they're kind of like leaning into that a little bit. But a lot of times that thinking can actually lead us to overdoing it. And almost like, I know we talked about like throwing in the towel, but many people, it's like, hey, this time constraint, I'm just going to like do whatever. I'm not going to make the gym a priority. I'm going to like indulge in everything festive. And I know for a lot of people, when they go into that, like they might have the, like, I want to recharge, but it does come with quite a bit of guilt. Right? I think we've all kind of talked to people about that. And there can be a little bit of like, oh, I feel like I've failed. Like maybe we're not even checking in with ourselves anymore. We're not really listening to hunger cues. We're pushing off kind of all those health behaviors. And we're like, hey, I just want to just do what I want.
I think that's where it can be really important to just periodically, intentionally check in with yourself and be like, where am I at right now? how am I feeling? How do I want to feel? Because then you're able to have a little bit more control over the situation. Like, I feel kind of bloated and sluggish and tired. Okay, well, actions can I take to make myself feel a little bit better? Or I feel really good. I feel energized. My heart is totally full because I'm spending all this time with family. Great. Maybe we don't need to make any changes. But just taking that time to check in with yourself and kind of, it's almost like a mental inventory. Like, where am I at in terms of my fitness? How is my body feeling? How is my mental health feeling? Am I checking off the boxes in terms of routine that make me feel good? And what areas can I improve upon? And I think that can be really helpful. Another thing that is helpful for me is actually playing the situation forward in my mind. So I like to imagine what I'm going to feel like the following day, at the end of the week, and even at the end of the month or several weeks down the line, like maybe come January 1st, how am I going to feel based on what I'm doing right now? And if I think, well, if I wake up tomorrow morning after doing X, Y, and Z, I'm going to feel like crap. I'm going to be like, maybe not very happy with myself. My body isn't going to feel good. I'm probably going to be more tired than I want to be or whatever. Okay, maybe I'm going to rethink that. Or sometimes it's like, I don't care. That's the sacrifice I'm willing to make. I want to have maximum fun today. This is the day that I am choosing to do that. I'm prioritizing that on this day, and I'm going to suffer the consequences tomorrow. Whatever.
I think that's a really good point. And I've done that actually myself today. My social calendar has gotten a bit full, and this has been great for me. It's a new start, a new beginning. I'm doing a ton more social things than I have in the past. And that's been really great. It's like you said, it's filled my cup, right? I'm very happy. No, I'm not prioritizing my nutrition 100% of the time, but I'm doing the best I can. But what I realized today is I woke up with this sense of overwhelm and stress, and I'm looking around my house and it's a mess, and I'm just not organized like I usually am. My pantry isn't full, and I had plans for today and I had to bow out, but I did exactly that. I don't feel good. I've just come off of being sick. And I had to be honest with my friend and say, I really appreciate the invite, but I'm going to just have to take it easy today. I need a day to reassess, to get back on track, to sit and watch some TV and just rest for a little bit, but have that decompression time. And that's so important to check in with yourself, because I think we try and do so much during the holidays, or if you have kids, there's so many things going on, kids events, things like that, that we really do need to take a step back every now and then and say, how do I actually feel today? What do I need to be the best me and take care of myself in the best way possible?
And I think that's a really good mindset to adopt during this. What do I need today? And I think that's a mindset that a lot of people really need to adopt during this time, because yeah, you might have a million things on the go, but if you actually honestly communicate with the people, if you do have plans and you're like, hey, I can't do it today. My body is telling me no, my brain is telling me no, people will understand. It's not just you that is feeling, if you're feeling that sense of overwhelm, if you're feeling that sense of like being stretched thinly and like it's too much over the holidays, you are not the only one. I bet you that a lot of your friends and loved ones are feeling the same kind of overwhelm. And I think kind of honestly communicating that can do a lot for you.
Also, we've talked so much about the all or nothing mentality, and it applies to this as well. When you're structuring your plans, I know I think probably all of us tend to fall into the people pleaser category at times, and we just pour ourselves into others. And when we are trying to figure out what is going to work best for us on any given day and everybody else too, it doesn't have to be like, I'm closing the door, I'm shutting down, I'm not talking to a single soul, although sometimes that is totally needed. But sometimes it's like, well, how can I do a little bit of both? Like, maybe I don't go 100% in the me direction or 100% in the everybody else direction, but like, maybe I do a little bit of stuff that I know is going to make me feel grounded, centered, good, ready to take on all the other things that I need to do for other people. And also do the things that I know I need to do for others, but not like at 150% all the time. I did that yesterday a little bit. I had to like go be there for my family. We're going through some pretty serious stuff right now, but I knew that in order for me to be present and actually like capable of managing the situation emotionally, I had to go on a run in the morning. And like I had like a 3 mile run on my schedule and I was like, yeah, I'm going to need to do 10. And like I just went for it because I knew that that was what I needed to do for myself so that I could be there for others. So being mindful and conscious about what works for you and what to prioritize, I think is so key this time of year.
Yeah. And also, I think, too, just from a nutrition standpoint, too, is it's often really easy to let certain things go by the wayside. Like I mentioned, like my pantry's empty. And right now is the time where even just having some of those things be non-negotiable, having healthy food in your house, even if it takes an extra 10 minutes, having something really quick and easy but nutritious to throw together is going to really help set us up for success when we are feeling less in control. But if we always have something in the pantry or in our fridge that's like a healthy go-to for breakfast, or you have your staples for lunch, or like I said, an easy stir-fry dinner or something that you can throw together, that's going to really help us not only be prepared and less stressed, but also if you're not eating well, you're not going to feel your best, right? If you're not fueling well, you're not going to be present as energetic. You may feel more sluggish. You may have some gut discomfort, things like that. And that is a easier thing to kind of plan and prioritize. It's something I'm going to do today. Again, changing my whole day around. I may not make it to the grocery store, but I'm going to order Instacart, because it's worth it.
Totally. And I think that's a lot of people don't have that as an option for themselves. They're like, I have to get to the grocery store. Like, I have to go out and do this myself. It's like, you know what? If you're already stretched thinly and you just need a little bit of you time, get your house organized, do some movement for yourself. Maybe you're putting a little extra money in to order some groceries, and you're kind of weighing like what is actually better for me in the moment. And that's just going to relieve so much stress and like give you back more energy. Like maybe this is a time that you're ordering Instacart, or maybe you're looking at like a meal delivery company. Like I know we have Methodology in the Bay Area. We have Thistle in the Bay Area for all of our like Canadian listeners. We have Power Kitchen. We have Honeybee Meals. Not meant to be shameless plugs, but like all options for like maybe you outsource some of that meal prep that maybe you would otherwise have time for. But the thought of meal prepping on top of all the other kind of like social obligations and like just stuff that's going on, or like just the desire to have some you time or just some recharge time is just there. It's like, hey, let's make it a little bit simpler for yourself.
So let's move on. Let's talk about another mindset shift. And the next one is zooming out. So the mindset that it's just a few meals or the whole month is a complete write-off. Where really, and this is something I've done a lot with my clients, almost every single one so far since Thanksgiving, the reality of the situation is there's really usually maybe 5 to 7 special occasions that you have during the season. For some, it may be more, some it may be less, some it may be kids events, things like that. But the rest are regular days. And even those events may only be one meal or one part of the day. So what I've done with my clients, and I don't know if you guys have done anything similar, is I've recommended, and I've done it myself, is make a little calendar. So I've had several of my clients, either they draw out their calendar or write a list or in their planner or whatever, and write the days with the events that you have on it. Maybe it's a holiday party, and color code them with a highlighter that's a fun color. So it's a positive thing. And then maybe you have family coming to town. So you may have less control, but you're still at home most of the time. Your schedule's not completely changed. Maybe that's a different color. Then you can see all the rest of the days that you actually have free to yourself. And then you can say, okay, so from Thanksgiving on, now it's about 3 weeks until Christmas as we're recording this now. But it's like, I have 3 weeks. That's not nothing. It does not mean December's a write-off. That means I may have 5 different events going on, but I can still have breakfast and lunch that are healthy. I can still get a workout in. It's not a write-off. And don't let yourself choose for it to be a write-off. Enjoy the heck out of those special occasions, but the rest of the time you're on. You don't have to give up. It's not an excuse.
Yeah, I like to actually have people quantify it even further. I kind of figure out how many times a day are you actually eating? For a lot of people, it's 4 or 5 times a day that we're eating. And be like, okay, so if we're thinking we're going to round up, let's say 5 times a day for 31 days in December, that's 155 opportunities to make choices that nourish your body. Okay, so we have 7 of the 155. So I'm just doing calculations on that is 4.5% of the entire month.
Oh, that's a really good way of looking
at it. That leaves 95% of the month to make choices to nourish you. Maybe we're still incorporating some tasty, yummy holiday treats in that 95%.
Right.
But that's still a large majority of the month if you're having 3 meals and 2 snacks, which I know for me, I usually have more than that in the day. So it's like, if you actually look at the bigger picture of it, that is like such a small percentage. You don't have to be perfect. And even outside of the holiday season, it's not about being 100% on it. And this goes back to what we've talked about in the past in terms of mindset. It's about like, hey, you still have the opportunity to choose again.
And fun meals out bring joy. Spending time with your friends and family bring joy. If you drink alcohol, sometimes, unless you're imbibing crazy, don't drink and drive. But that can be not drinking and driving can be fun. But, having some cocktails with friends is fun. Drinking and driving, not fun. Or being arrested, spending time in jail, not fun.
Not
losing
ideal.
your license. But you know what I mean? Main thing is we want to track our wins. We want to just remember we can choose differently, get back on the horse. One bad, and not even bad, one relaxed day of food, one relaxed meal, one special occasion doesn't mean that you've lost everything.
Well, and I think that kind of like leads very nicely into the next mindset that we have, that I say, hey, you have 95% of the month to still make good choices. But I find for a lot of people, they have those holiday treats, the chocolates, the candies, the cookies laying around, and they find themselves, well, outside of these holiday gatherings, I feel like I can't control myself around these holiday foods. It's like this almost like out of body situation that they're having, where it's like their body takes over, kind of like eating, and it turns into like this binge that they need to kind of get rid of everything in their house, especially because it is once a year. They have those holiday gatherings where it's like they impulsively kind of have everything. And for a lot of these people, it's kind of like taking a step back and looking at like, are we overly restrictive outside of these holiday gatherings that it's leading you to overeat all these things? Or are you telling yourself that you cannot have, or these foods are quote unquote bad foods? Are these foods that don't fit into your diet? Is that what you're telling yourself? Because that is ultimately going to be setting yourself up that you do feel out of control.
I like the idea of being strategic, personally. I mean, I'm a big planner. We know this about me. I love my check boxes. I love to look at things ahead. I love planning out like my meals for the week and stuff. And does it always go the way I plan? No. But like for the most part, we're doing pretty good. And like that's good enough for me. And I still implement those strategies during this time of year. But I also know that there's things that I'm going to be doing that I wouldn't necessarily do in like March, Almost every single year after Thanksgiving, I bring home an entire pumpkin pie because someone's got to take it home. And I like pumpkin pie. And I actually think pumpkin pie is delicious for breakfast. So sometimes I'll have a slice of pumpkin pie for breakfast this time of year, maybe a couple of days in a row when like I have that huge pumpkin pie in the fridge. And after a couple of days, I'm like, okay, we're good. This isn't bringing me joy anymore. I'm kind of over it. But like the first day or two, I'm like, dude, this is so good with a cup of coffee. And I enjoy the hell out of that pumpkin pie.
So
and
good.
For me, yeah, it's such an indulgence and such a treat. And there is a vegetable in it. So
See,
good for you.
There we
you're
go.
doing well.
Yeah, like, come on, I'm getting beta carotene every morning when I do that. It's great. But another piece of it is that mindset of I'm allowed to do this and I'm not worried about it. And I can have that piece of pie for breakfast and not be like, oh my God, I started my day with pie, so the whole day is ruined. So now I'm just going to like eat cookies for the rest of the day. It's like, no, that was great. I enjoyed that. I know that that wasn't the most balanced choice for me this morning. So I'm going to balance that out by having nutritious, balanced meals for the rest of the day. I just move on. And
Totally.
like, it was what it was. Give yourself the permission to do that stuff,
We're in that situation with birthday cake. So my birthday was 2 days ago and we had a debacle with the wrong cake getting delivered. We had a glutinous 30% cake delivered to our house. And we thankfully had a holiday party yesterday that we were able to take that cake, the glutinous cake too. And I had the gluten-free cake delivered late on my birthday night. But then it was like, I had this entire gluten-free cake and I'm like, okay, so this was not what I had planned, but the cake was really good. And I've been actually using it as my pre-workout snack every single day. And it's been awesome. I feel so energized in my workouts. I like crushed my run today. Yesterday I had it before like a CrossFit class. I was like, oh my God, I have so much energy. This sugar is great.
Obviously has not worn off yet.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. But I know for me, it was like more of having a plan of like, I'm not going to feel like I have this pressure of like, I have to eat all this cake right away because then it needs to be gone. It's like, no, I'm enjoying using it as this. And I know for myself that if in a day or two, I don't feel like having it anymore because I'm done with it, I can freeze it. Because a lot of holiday treats can be easily frozen and saved for another time that I am actually having a craving again for cake.
That's a great idea.
Even with the holiday cookies, one hack that one of my clients taught me that I didn't even think of, because baked cookies don't always freeze very well when you go to thaw them again. They kind of get soggy. It depends on the type of cookie. Yeah. But what she does is she makes the big batch cookie dough and she freezes the dough in little packets of dough balls that are like portion of 6 or portion of 8. And she cooks smaller portions over the holiday season when she wants them. And that way she's able to actually like space out having them, which I think is so genius.
That's really smart.
Literally did that this week. There is this New York Times recipe for pumpkin cookies and it calls for brown butter and they are so good. Like everyone, I shared them with a bunch of people and they were, I don't know. I don't think they were just being nice. I think they were being honest. They were like, dude, you should sell these. They're like that good.
Cookies by Tara.
Cookies. I do love baking cookies.
You may have to send that recipe to me.
I will. I actually, that's funny because that would be the second brown butter pumpkin recipe that I've sent to you. Because I also sent you the brown butter bourbon pumpkin bread recipe.
Oh my gosh. And I've made it twice so far and it is a hit. It is so good.
It's like silky. Actually, my husband was like, dude, these pumpkin cookies are better than any pumpkin pie I've ever had. Like I would take that over pumpkin pie any day. So if you're like, not like super into the pumpkin pie idea, this is a good alternative and it's still like festive and stuff. And I put cardamom in there and
nice.
they're really good. But it makes a ton of cookies and I'm not trying to have a bunch of cookies in my house that are that good, just like sitting there begging to be consumed with many cups of coffee. And so I actually froze half of the batch. Also, it's nice because that way you don't get stale cookies that are not as good sitting around. I will say, though, that these pumpkin cookies, they last a pretty long time and they like don't get super stale. So that's one of the other benefits about this recipe.
Oh, that's cool.
They have a little bit longer of a shelf life. I will send it to you. Thank you. We can add the link in the show notes as well for those who are curious about it. You do have to have a New York Times subscription, though. So, and if you don't have one, if you don't have a New York Times cooking app subscription, like I don't know what you're doing, but you should put that on your Christmas list because
it's pretty cool. I just finally got it after your recommendation. You've sent me a few different recipes and I love that I have it.
I use it all the time. It's so good for meal planning. Like, yeah, highly recommend. I think Bon Appetit also has one. I'm considering branching out.
I've done the Bon Appetit because I find they have a good selection of gluten-free recipes.
Yeah, I like Bon Appetit.
I feel like we could absolutely just talk about food and recipes for the whole day. So
totally,
we have to like bring it back to the topic. But mindfulness, I think, is kind of the main thing that we're talking about in this next, I don't know, idea that we want to highlight. And it's something that it's important all year round, but it's a little bit more difficult to stay mindful this time of year sometimes because we're not in our normal environment. There's more things going on. A lot of people are traveling. You might have family staying in your house. You might be staying with family. It's just not your usual typical routine. And it can feel very easy to get sort of like swept up in the moment when you're in situations like that. And you can totally forget to just check in with yourself and pause and do that self-assessment like we talked about before.
Yeah. And I've seen with a few clients where in this kind of like holiday month, they have this desire to want to still continue with their tracking. And they're like, if I don't track, I'm going to fall off. And I feel like it's finding the balance between like that tracking and that mindfulness piece. I think some people are just seeing tracking as a band-aid to like stay on track, when really this is a great opportunity for them to actually like disconnect from some of the apps and things like that, and really like listen to their internal cues a little bit and find that happy medium. Because tracking that holiday party or that holiday meal that you have with your family with all like your family's recipes is really, really hard. Or like, I personally have no desire to track. My father makes a mean raisin pie. I have no clue how to track that. I would never even want to track that. I'm just going to enjoy a slice of it and just move on. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be delicious, and that's great. I think if you are someone that you're wanting to track outside of those holiday meals, when you feel like you want to be a little bit more structured with things, totally. But if it's detracting from the enjoyment of the season, I think we have to kind of like almost like check yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's a big conversation I've been having with my clients this past week, especially as we're coming up to the planning of the next few weeks. As the holidays are approaching, as there's a lot of social events, a lot of people are expressing exactly that. They're either feeling guilty, it's too hard, it's a pain in the ass, like whatever it is. And what I've encouraged people to do is either go ahead and continue tracking if you feel comfortable with that in those situations where it's not hard, when it's your normal day to day. But is this also the season that we want to take a little pause from that and go with listening to our body and what our body is telling us, listen to our gut? It's a good time to test ourselves too. Like, can we stay on track? How are we doing without relying on MyFitnessPal or whatever fitness tracker we're using or food tracker we're using? I think also having the permission to not be perfect and not track everything can be a little bit of a relief and a one less thing to stress about, right? And a lot of people feel like if they are trying to track at a party or something, they're seeing, okay, we've had some more drinks, or we've had maybe some more highly caloric, higher carb, higher fat foods, less protein per se, and then they feel like they've failed. This is a time of year where we really could lean into focusing on joy, right? There's a lot of things going on in the world that are hard. There's a lot of negativity. There's a lot of bad things that are happening around the world, no matter, not just in the US or in Canada. It's just a tough time right now for a lot of different people. And the holidays are really meant to be about a time of joy, about a time of love, about a time of sharing spirit and camaraderie and time with people that we care about. So leaning into that a little bit more and being a little less strict about, say, logging foods or being perfect on our food plan or our workouts. It's not saying you're giving yourself an out, but really lean into the joy of the season. Because in 20 years' time, if you really think about it, you're not going to look back on Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa of 2025 and say, gosh, I wish I would have eaten fewer calories, or man, that pumpkin pie I had was so high in fat, I wish I hadn't done that. You're going to say, man, I sat with my friends this Christmas, or I celebrated, with my family who I hadn't seen in a while, and I had the best time.
I feel like for some people, it's like they'll have more regret if they do lose out in the social time tracking or obsessing and that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Like, instead of looking back and having those memories. I think that's something that's really important to cherish.
Mm-hmm. And again, it doesn't mean we fall off completely. If we go back to what we said earlier, we're still staying on track. We have a lot of other times and meals and opportunities during the day to get our workouts in, to eat well, to do great. But maybe it's not the time really to be so hard on ourselves. And Terry, you said it. But giving yourself permission to enjoy the heck out of it.
Well, and a lot of times when you take away that like pressure of like trying to be perfect, or like a lot of times it is easier to kind of actually like listen to your body and stay on track, because then you're actually listening to what your body actually wants. It's like, okay, so I've had my pie and I've savored it and I've enjoyed it and I'm immersed the people around us. A lot of times you'll find you're more satisfied. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Versus trying to be more like on top of everything, where you're going to feel like, okay, if I have this pie, I'm going to throw myself completely through a loop.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why a lot of times when you hear the people who kind of invented mindful and intuitive eating, a lot of times they will refer to it as coming back to mindful eating, or coming back to intuitive eating. And it's because we're coming back to a way of eating that we all used to do before all of this craziness got into our heads as we got older. Like when we were children and we just ate based on feel. You watch little kids who don't have any of those societal pressures that have seeped into their minds yet, and they just eat very naturally, and they stop when they're over it and or bored or unstimulated, and they indicate that they're hungry when they're actually hungry, and they'll eat. It's a lot more simple when you're little, and of course, like, not everyone is the same. There's some situations where this is different, blah blah blah, but like for the most part, that's kind of what we're trying to come back to. Just eating in a very real and true way to ourselves and to our body and our physiological cues. And I will also say that one of the things that I really love about mindful eating is that so much of it is rooted in enjoyment of the food, slowing down, savoring the flavors, actually tasting your food and making it last longer too. Just being more present for that moment can help you to enjoy the food that much more. And during a holiday season, when you're eating grandma's pumpkin pie or whatever food it is that's so special to you that you don't get all year round, isn't that the time when we really actually want to be slowing down, savoring the food, tasting the flavors, admiring the way that these foods like glisten in the light because they're covered in so many sprinkles, like all of those things, right? We want to be taking it in. So I think it's a good time to flex that mindful eating muscle. But at the same time, as someone who has been paying attention to their nutrition forever, I like to balance that out with some tracking too. Not on the holiday. Like, I'm not going to be tracking at Christmas with my family. Hell no. Probably not the day after either, because like I'm still in the holiday vibe. But I will usually during December pay closer attention to the numbers too, just to make sure that I'm like in good shape come January 1st. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. I think it is really valuable to occasionally track throughout the rest of the month for that very reason, so that you are feeling like you're in tip-top shape and your body's feeling good for those kind of moments where we focus on yourself and your digestion and all of that. And I also add in there, like, I think mindfulness can swing in the other direction too, of like understanding when to stop eating too and listen to your body when your body's had it enough. And this is something that I've seen a lot more recently with my clients that are huge wins, that a lot more people are coming back to me and they're like, Alicia, like Thanksgiving, I felt good afterwards. I didn't feel stuffed. I didn't feel sick. And this was the first time ever. I haven't left the table feeling like I was going to throw up. And to me, that's a huge win. And that's part of that mindfulness too, is not eating to a point that you feel sick. Because the thing you also have to recognize too, that like you could make a lot of these foods any other time of the year. Yes, a lot of these foods you only make at the holidays. But in reality, if it's something that you absolutely love, you can make it in March. Like there's nothing stopping you. Those ingredients are still available.
Yeah. And I think you're right, though, with those holiday wins. I had several clients come back to the same thing. So I think it's that mindset shift of, yes, you're allowed to enjoy whatever you love without guilt, but you don't have to overdo it, And I think having that power to know that, okay, I'm allowing myself to have this. I know it's not the only time I'm ever going to eat this. I'm here for the conversation, the love and whatever, and I'm going to really lean into the foods I like, but maybe I don't have to eat I don't know. I can't imagine anybody not liking this, but if you don't like sweet potato casserole, and that's not your thing, then don't lean into it. It's the best. It's so good.
I've never had it. It's not a Canadian thing. Come on. I don't even know what a sweet potato casserole is.
Yeah, you're missing out. That's probably why secretly you're unhappy and you didn't even know.
Maybe.
Your life isn't complete.
Yeah. So summer, you can make me some.
It has marshmallows on it.
I love marshmallows.
Perfect.
Ugh, I am not. I think it came around in like the 60s or something.
Yeah,
it's like
probably.
one of those weird. It's like I'm obviously not a fan. It's like one of those like I look at that and I'm like, okay, and you serve that with like a Jello mold next to it. It's like
ambrosia kind of thing.
Ew, no.
Yeah, I'm traumatized.
You guys are being ridiculous.
Oh my god! One of my aunts makes this like tomato aspic. I hope she does not listen to this episode or any of my relatives. It's like a gelatin, like tomato soup Jello with like bits of every single Christmas. And it's one of those things that this is going to come back to haunt me if any of my relatives are listening to this right now. So I apologize if anyone in my family really likes it. But every single year I look at this and I'm like, I should probably eat some out of it. But you know what? This year, I'm not going to. I'm going to listen to my body. And if I don't feel like eating the aspic, I'm not going to eat the aspic.
It's pretty funny because when I don't have many foods that I don't like, and whenever, we get in conversation, what don't you like? What don't you like? And I can never think of anything I really don't like besides aspic and uni.
Oh,
I don't like uni either.
Yeah, I've tried it so many times and I can't do it. But I mean, they're not exactly foods you would eat on a regular basis, but it's like aspic jellied meat. Not good to me.
No.
And uni tastes, I won't even tell you what the consistency tastes like if you have an experience or what it feels like in your mouth. It's not great.
I don't know if
some
I've
people
had
love it. Some people love it.
Yeah, like
I mean, you may love it.
No, there's people out there that's what they like. So we're like
a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we sell it like right here in Half Moon Bay. Like you can go off people's boats and they'll sell it. Like the fishermen will and people just eat it right out of the shell. And it's great for everybody who likes it. It's really fresh here.
Yeah.
It's good that people have different tastes because,
exactly.
Then people get to enjoy different things. But this is actually, I'm glad that we are talking about this because this ties into the kind of social pressure aspect of the holiday season where people can sometimes be a little bit forceful about wanting you to eat things that maybe you don't want to eat. That is very much a thing. And I find that a lot of the people I work with, it's sometimes their own families, but it's more so when you're going to maybe the family of like a significant other and you're at their house and you want to make a good impression and you're just not in your comfort zone so much. So you are saying yes to things that you might not normally say yes to. And then at the end of the day or the next morning you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't do that. So coming up with maybe things to say, strategies, planning ahead, figuring out a way to create boundaries in a way that is still, mindful of how other people are going to feel, but also making sure that you're taking good care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, what you put into your body is your business. So it shouldn't be dictated by somebody else. And I think that that's an important boundary to set, but everyone has to do it in their own way that feels comfortable for them. And everyone's family dynamics are different too. So it's a little bit tricky, but that's something that I often help people navigate this time of year.
I think social pressure on alcohol is another one that is really big. Like, I think it's like the social pressure of like trying this dish that I made and I love you and you should try it because you love me, but also the alcohol. And I find it could be both family and in a friend situation. Like I'm personally going back to the I only have one kidney story, but I don't tolerate alcohol very well. And as of late, like my reaction to alcohol has been really shitty. And like I find I've gone through periods of my life where I haven't been drinking, and I find especially the holidays is super hard. And I've talked to a lot of clients that are trying to either reduce their alcohol consumption, be more intentional about it, or like are having something with their health. I have one client who has non-alcoholic fatty liver, but he's trying to reduce his alcohol consumption just to get his health a lot better. And it's a common theme that I find for a lot of people that they find it really, really hard, especially in the holiday season, to say no to alcohol. And it's just like the almost the pushing of alcohol into people. And I think it's almost like practicing. What are you going to say when someone tries to feed you alcohol or someone tries to give you something you don't want? Maybe bring lots of fun non-alcoholic options and putting it into a cup so it looks like you're drinking throughout the night, and kind of like sticking it to yourself, like make that intention for yourself going into those social, like this is what I'm going to say, this is what I'm going to do, and maybe you do, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to have some drinks or have a good night, and I'm not saying that against anyone because it's to each their own, but I think it's kind of like trying to figure out what that balance is for you and what that looks like.
And I think it's much more acceptable in the recent years to have non-alcoholic beverages. Like I have several friends now who don't drink. And if there's a social occasion, either I'll make sure if it's at my house, I'll make sure to have some non-alcoholic beers, or they'll bring their own or other cocktails. And there's really, I think, less stigma about it. But I think also we ourselves get into our own head too. Like, oh my God, they're going to judge me if I don't drink. But I think a lot of times there's less judgment than you think. Just be confident about it. And if they're really going to be that judgy on you, is that the friend you want to have? You know what I mean? Like, I just find it more and more acceptable these days. And there are more and more non-alcoholic options. So just go for it. Like, I've had a lot of clients who've been, same thing, really proud of themselves for drinking less or not at all at holiday functions and realizing, oh, I didn't even really need that. I didn't miss it.
And then they felt better the next day.
Yeah. Then you're able to like really start that next day great.
They're able to get that workout in that you would usually skip because they feel hungover.
On my run yesterday, I ran with a really good friend of mine, and he is going 3 months without alcohol. He just like set this target. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. That's always my response when people tell me that they're like taking a break or whatever. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like, I just think it's so cool because it's in this society can be like kind of an ambitious goal. And I also know how good it feels to not drink. And so I'm just like, dude, that's great. It can feel so amazing. But I was super impressed with his 3-month goal because you hear 1 month a lot. You hear like dry January a lot, but he was like, dude, I'm just going for 3. And I was like, that's awesome. He's 1 month in. So 2 months to go. And then, you know, he will decide after the 3 months what he wants to do next. But he went to a wedding and it felt like everybody that was there was drinking, you know, and everybody was like trying to get him to drink and stuff. And he's like, no, I'm cool. He got up the next morning and he felt so good. He like got a workout in, got some work done and stuff. Everyone started trickling into the room, you know, for their breakfast or whatever. And they're hungover. They've been throwing up all morning. They feel terrible. They're like, dude, how are you even awake right now? And he's like, that feeling the next morning when you're the one who feels really, really good and energized and productive and stuff, that feeling is priceless.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Talking about, I think it's like anchoring the day, but also it could be like for those people that are thinking about how they want to prep for big meals. I think that there's a lot of the mindsets people fall into about like wanting to save up calories when they have a big holiday party, or the opposite flip side of it is they overdid it and then they're using exercise as a punishment the next day. I think all three of us have seen both ends of the spectrum of like the saving up so they could eat freely, or feeling like they have a ton of guilt and feeling like they have to over exercise the next day, or maybe it's themes for both throughout the entire month.
That is another mindset thing. When it comes to the exercising side of things, exercising for compensation just doesn't work. It never works. It doesn't work mathematically. It doesn't work physiologically, and it doesn't work mentally. So like, if that's a trap that you fall into, get it out of your head right now. I mean, obviously much easier said than done, but we need to shift the mindset around that and shift the mindset around what the reason is behind the movement that you are trying to integrate into the holiday season and come at it from a totally different perspective. Because if you're trying to approach it as a punishment or as compensation or whatever, that's just, it's not going to suit you. It's not going to serve you. It's not great. Same thing with starving yourself pre-holiday meals. It always backfires every 100%. Single time. Yeah. So why not focus on nourishment, focus on balance, focus on taking good care of your body, good care of your mental health, and use that as your platform to move forward.
Well, I think this goes back to our conversation about mindfulness. If you're starving yourself all day until you get to holiday dinner, you're going to be so ravenous that you're not going to be able to be mindful. I always talk about the hunger scale with a lot of my clients. So a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is that you're so hungry that you're seeing stars, you're feeling faint, you're shaky, like low blood sugar, and 10 being that you're so full, you feel like you're going to like throw up. If you are like a 1 or a 2, 2 being like you're really like hangry, if you're starting to eat and you're so low on the hunger scale, you are going to shoot past the point that we want to naturally stop eating, which is around a 6 or 7 where we're satiated. We're not really full yet because our stomach does take a delayed amount of time to actually signal to our brain that we're full. So it's actually quite counterintuitive, and you are going to kind of get to a point where you're going to feel sick or you're going to feel more guilt because you've overdone it. And I've seen the opposite too, where people, they like want to save up their calories and they get to the meal, they start eating, they're eating too quickly, and then they just make themselves feel ill on not a lot of food because they haven't eaten at all during the day. Clients always ask me like, how do I make sure that I'm setting myself up for success with these big holiday meals? It's like, eat normally. Maybe you up your veggies a little bit more than normal. maybe you up your protein a little bit more, because maybe that meal at nighttime is not going to have as much protein or vegetables, because you know that it's going to be at a certain restaurant or a certain relative's house or at your own house, that it's like, hey, it's going to be more charcuterie food that isn't going to be as protein and veggie heavy. That's what's going to set you up for more success.
I like to think of it as the star of the show and the supporting actors. So your holiday meal is the star of the show. That's the one that you kind of want to prioritize. You're going to like let that star of the show be its own thing. But you have all of these other supporting actors that are just as important as that big star. And we need those supporting actors to be in place. If they're not there, you've got no show, right? Like everything is going to kind of fall apart. But we need those supporting actors to kind of balance things out. So it's important to pay attention to what you're eating before and what you're eating after that meal. That's the star, right? And we're not going to mess with that one, but we need to support it through balance. And we can't neglect the supporting actors. They deserve attention too.
I really like that. I may steal that from you.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that's fantastic.
Should we talk about the New Year, New Me spiral?
I feel like that's the pinnacle of all of this. We've kind of like alluded to it up until now. And I think that that's like going back to what I said at the beginning of today's conversation around like the gyms are very empty right now. But that will not last long once we get the New Year's resolutions happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although I will say, I kind of love how the gym's so empty because
100%.
I can like get on the squat rack, like I can do all the things because no one's there. And so
nice little circuit of 10 different pieces of equipment at the same time.
Oh my gosh, it's kind of amazing just having more access to everything and having the gym be a little bit more quiet. But come January, it's not going to be that way, and then that lasts like 2.5 months, and then it goes back to normal. So
right.
Don't be one of those people is what we're getting to.
That you can still make strides and gains. And if anything, maybe a few extra treats or yummy family baked goods in December or whatever the dish is can be extra fuel that you can crush more gains, build all the muscle mass, feel extra fueled. Like that's my mindset is like, I actually love training in December because I do have a little bit more tasty food coming in that I feel so much more energized. And I feel like my recovery is so much better. So then I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm not destroyed from yesterday's workout. I'm good.
I also like the idea of setting yourself up for success for January, right? Mm-hmm. So if we totally go off the rails in terms of our food or in terms of our workouts, we're going to be in somewhat of a deficit, and not necessarily by pounds on the scale, but we're not going to be as strong or we're not going to feel as good coming into January. So we're kind of starting at a negative or in a hole that we need to dig ourselves out of. You know, even if it's not as much of a workout, or you're not working out as many times during the week, or not eating as well as many days in a row, or it is many meals in a row as you used to or normally do, that's okay. But still making sure to try and get in movement, try and get in some nutritious food so that you're ready to rock and roll when things kind of normalize.
Totally. And I will say, like, if you're going to wait until January to outsource a coach, I think a lot of coaches won't take new clients in the new year. I know I have a coach for both my strength training side and my endurance side. And I know both of them have told me in the last few weeks that they won't be taking any new clients until March, intentionally because they don't want New Year's resolutioners. And it's kind of nice. Like, I know for myself, like, I would never get rid of my coaches in November and December, because to outsource some of that accountability, to know that like I have a call or like a messaging chat with them, and to like let them know like, hey, I got my workouts in, this is what I did this week, or to have them help me like problem solve, like, hey, I'm feeling really tired this week because I had so many social gatherings, and then kind of adjust the programming. It's so nice to have that external help, especially like when you're someone who has a healthcare provider and you're taking care of others.
Yes, that part. Oh my gosh, that part is really challenging for us. I think, like, just feeling like we are constantly caring for others and needing to also take care of ourselves. And it can be really nice to get some help and actually have somebody on the other side of it, like caring for you. And if you're a person who cares for others in any capacity, whether you're a parent or a caregiver of someone or whatever, I think that that's really important. And that's something that I try to remind people of all the time. You got to also take care of yourself, and it's okay to invest a little bit in a service that's going to help you feel more grounded, better about yourself, more accountable, all of that. I'm in my off season right now. I was thinking about this. We like never talked about Moab.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh. That's a great way to finish out the episode. We want to hear about it.
I know. Well, I don't want to like spend too much time on it because I know we've already been talking for a while, but Moab was amazing. It was really good. It was the longest I've ever run. It was technically a little shorter than a 50K, which I was like kind of pissed about. But it was absolutely stunningly beautiful terrain. And I went there and I did what I set out to do. I had a great time. It was beautiful.
Yay.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. I had been dealing with a calf injury. Calf injury held up really well. Like my calf felt great the whole time. So yeah, so that was great. And then now I'm in my off season, and off season is always a little bit difficult because you just sort of feel like you're floundering, and it's like, you're not technically training for anything. I like to think of it as like preseason instead of off season. Like, okay, this is the preseason. I'm not off the hook. I'm not just like sitting on the couch. I am like, I need to be maintaining things. But I was like, should I put my coaching on pause? I thought about it just because of financial stuff. And I was like, no, I need it. So I have my coach still, even for my off season is 1 month long. It's just literally December. And I have some specific goals that I'm trying to hit during my off season. Training is definitely looking different than it does during the on season, but having that extra accountability, especially during this time of year, especially when, life is lifing a lot, it's really, really helpful to stay on track. And I think what's interesting about nutrition, I was just telling my brother about this. We were like driving in the car for a long time yesterday. And it's funny because all of my current clients are like very much wanting to connect right now. But new clients never reach out in December. It's like very rare that someone is like, yeah, now's when I want to get started on a nutrition plan. But in reality, this is actually a really good time to start thinking about what you want to do and to also navigate the challenges and the nuances and the trickiness that is the holiday season. Whereas January, is similar to what you were talking about, Alicia. A lot of times when people reach out in January, it's like, not sure if you're going to actually stick with it, because it's the mindset, it's the mentality. It's like all or nothing, on or off. And that's not a good way to start.
To wrap it up, we really want to focus on choosing wisely. You don't have to choose between joy and health. We want to find that wonderful balance between them both. Really prioritizing joy in this season, but also not letting our health and our wellness go by the wayside. You can also pivot. You absolutely can make different choices. Each meal is an opportunity to choose something different. Each morning, each workout, each day is an opportunity to choose differently in a way that serves you. And what you do most of the time still matters. Just because this holiday season has a lot of fun stuff that's not in our normal plan, there's still the majority of the time that is normal. So if this episode helps shift your mindset in any way, or you think it can help others shift theirs, please feel free to share. And if you missed our first episode on mindset, please go back and have a listen. There's a lot of great, valuable tidbits in there, and we hope you enjoy.
Have a happy holidays.